through this whole problem thing, okay? Okay, so problem solving. When we're faced with a problem, what happens is that when we have to analyze it, first we need to consider what is the problem, right? What do I know about this problem? What results am I waiting for, or am I aiming for? Or how can I define the problem? Yeah, and then what are my alternatives? Okay, so for example, just to get a really let me first brush you through this cycle, and then I will explain it, bringing in an example. Okay, what are my alternatives? What boundaries do I have? What are the possible alternatives? What are the advantages and disadvantages of each alternative? Okay, what is the solution? What alternative way suits me the best? Okay, and what steps can I take? And how well is the solution working? What is my evaluation of the solution that I found? What adjustments are necessary? Okay, so you're thinking pretty much all of the time. Okay, so let's say a really let's take a really simple example. Okay, so you give me an example. Solomon, now it's your turn. Give me an example of a problem. No? Solomon, give me an example of a problem. Any kind. Just give me a problem. What kind of problem did you have? Not a solution, but just a problem. What it was, okay? Okay, so you had a problem. You failed an exam. Let's say failing an exam, okay? So what do I know about this situation? Yeah, I failed an exam. I'm gonna get bad grades. I have to repeat this class again. And is that really such a big problem for me? First of all, you need to identify for yourself whether this is a big problem for you, okay? Is it? Is it the end of the world? Or not so much, but still an unwanted thing that happened in your life, okay? What are the alternatives? Do I have any alternative? Can I talk? Which means that if you failed an exam, you start looking for alternatives. Which means number one, going to your lecturer and asking for the second time. Can you do that? Are you allowed? These are your boundaries. Are you allowed to do that? If yes, then you pursue that road. Okay. What would be the advantages of doing that? So obviously, the advantages would be um, that you may pass. Okay. And if you pass, if the lecturer gives you a second chance, you will pass and you will not fail, and it's not going to reflect on your GPA. Then you will not have to retake the class. Okay. But if it doesn't work, then what will be the solution? Okay. So these are all the things. So every single problem involves, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we covered it last week. But anyway, basically every single, yes, please, Salman. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It's a driving test. You fail. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. You evaluate every single time you make a mistake, okay? So the one time you fail the driving test, you need to sit down and think about it. Okay, that's it. There I have no alternatives apart from sitting down and studying hard for the second time I take it. Okay? If you fail the second time, you need to question your studying methods. At least that's what I would do. Okay? But if you fail a driving test 3 times, it means that there is something wrong with the way you analyzed the whole situation. Okay, it means that the way you tried to see the problem was not very helpful. Okay, did I answer, Solomon? Was my answer helpful? Okay. Are you clear now? Just a second. Okay. So we solve problems every single day in our lives, right? Will you agree with me? Okay. So, Sanat, I think it would be helpful if I repeated the story that I did last week for Solomon to hear, okay? Um, so I'm gonna read you this little paragraph, yeah? And I'm gonna ask you questions later on, okay? So, There is a problem. My best friend is addicted to drugs, but he won't admit it. Jack always liked to drink, but I never thought too much about it. After all, a lot of people like to drink socially, get relaxed, and have a good time. But over the last few years, he started using other drugs as well as alcohol, and it's ruining his life. He stopped taking classes at the college and will soon lose his job if he doesn't change. Last week, I told him that I was really worried about him, but he told me that he has no drug problem and that in any case, it really isn't any of my business. I just don't know what to do. I've known Jack since we were in grammar school together, and he's a wonderful person. It's as if he's in the grip of some terrible force, and I'm powerless to help him. Okay? So, right now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about, I'm going to read this again, okay? And I want you to think about what is the problem? What are the alternatives to the problem? What are the disadvantages and advantages of the alternatives? What is the solution? And how well can the solution work? Okay, Solomon, do you understand what I expect? Hello. Okay, I'm gonna read it again. Um, my best friend is addicted to drugs, but he won't admit it. Jack always liked to drink, but I never thought too much about it. After all, a lot of people like to drink socially, get relaxed, and have a good time. But over the last few years, he started using other drugs as well as alcohol, and it's ruining his life. He stopped taking classes at the college and will soon lose his job if he doesn't change. Last week, I told him that I was really worried about him, but he told me that he has no drug problem and that in any case, it really isn't any of my business. I just don't know what to do. I've known Jack since we were in grammar school together, and he's a wonderful person. It's as if he's in the grip of some terrible force. I'm powerless to help him. Okay? You have about 5 minutes to do this. Okay? I'm going to turn off my video. So you have about 5 minutes to think about it, and then we will discuss. Okay? Guys, so any ideas? Solomon, so what's the problem? Talk to me. Yes, you have to talk about what is the problem from the little passage that I read to you. You have to identify the problem. You need to see the alternatives of solution. Yeah, just talk. Just give me your thoughts and ideas. Okay. Okay. What do you mean not well educated about the problem? What is about the situation? What is the situation? First, you tell me what the situation is. Okay. So, okay, substance abuse. What else is the problem? Apart from we do understand that substance abuse in itself is a problem. But what else is the problem there? Other problems arise from substance abuse, right? Such as, guys, you typing is taking too much time. It's like the friend's approach. Okay, this is interesting. What is the problem with the friend's approach? Hmm? Honesty and compassion? How so? Friend wants to help. Friend is concerned that, what do you mean honesty and compassion? You need to tell me exactly where those problems are, like sentences, okay? Or ideas. Just saying honesty and compassion is not good enough. You're solving it, okay? You have to break down this whole passage and tell me where the problems are. And if you're saying that there is a problem with friends' approach, you need to tell me exactly where the problem is. Honesty and compassion. how is it a problem? Where is the problem in friends' honesty and compassion? Okay, he got disconnected. Fine. That was meant to be for Solomon. Okay, Sanat, are you hearing me? Okay. Okay, Sanat. Listen up. Now, I'm gonna read you a few things, like few troubling situations, and you have to imagine yourself in them, okay? You have to imagine yourself that this is happening to you, and tell me what your next move would be, okay? And why you would choose that certain move. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So the first situation is about procrastination. Do you know what procrastination means? Okay. So I am a procrastinator. Yes, like delay, like you putting things off. Like for example, you have to study for an exam. And you know that you have to study, but you keep saying, okay, I'm going to study in 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you say, okay, I'm going to study in 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you say, oh, this is not working. I'm just going to do this. And then I'm going to study. So you keep on, putting things off. Okay. Uh huh. So I am a procrastinator. Whenever I have something important to do, especially if it's difficult or unpleasant, I tend to put it off. Though this chronic delaying bothers me, I try to suppress my concern and instead work on more trivial things. It doesn't matter how much time I allow for certain responsibilities, I always end up waiting until the last minute to really focus and get things done. Or I overschedule too many things for the time available. I usually meet my deadlines, but not always, and I don't enjoy working under this kind of pressure. In many cases, I know that I'm not producing my best work. To make matters worse, the feeling that I'm always behind causes me to feel really, really stressed out and undermines my confidence. I've tried every kind of schedule and technique, but my best intentions simply don't last, and I end up sleeping into my old habits. I must learn to get my priorities in order and act on them in an organized way so that I can lead a well balanced and happier life. Okay, Sanat. So now, just for a few seconds, think about it. If you were that kind of person, and think about it, and then tell me what you would do and why you would do it. Okay, you hear me? Okay. Okay, I'll just get my glasses and I'll be back. Okay, so you think about it, okay? Okay, tell me, Sana, what would you do next? What's your next move? What are you going to do about your procrastination if that happened to you? And why? Okay, so what would you do? So, how will you do it? Uh huh. For example, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What else? Okay, scheduling. Very good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Nothing else? Why will you try to make schedules? Why? Can you tell me why? Why scheduling? Okay, for organizing any type of work. Good. Um, Now I'm going to read another problem, okay? Another situation for you. So, um, loss of financial aid, okay? Do you know what financial aid means? So, when you go to university, you have a scholarship, okay? The university pays for your studies, okay? And you lose it. So, it goes like this. I'm just about to begin my second year of college, following a very successful first year. To this point, I have financed my education through a combination of savings, financial aid, and a part time job, um, 16 hours per week. However, I just received a letter from my college stating that it was reducing my financial aid package by half due to budgetary problems. The letter concludes, we hope this aid reduction will not prove to be too great an inconvenience. From my perspective, this reduction in aid isn't an inconvenience, it's a disaster. My budget last year was already tight, and with my job, I had barely enough time to study, participate in few college activities, and have a modest but essential social life. To make matters worse, my mother has been ill, a condition that has reduced her income and created financial problems at home. I'm feeling panicked. What in the world am I going to do? Now, this is hard, right, Sanat? And you have to tell me what you're going to do next and why. Okay? Think about it if you have to. Okay? Just type when you're ready, okay? Don't wait for me to ask you. Just type whenever you're ready to um, Yes, of course I can help you. So basically, we're talking about a person who is stuck financially, okay? A student, just like you, who needs to work to support himself and also study. Yeah. And right now, the problem is that the university is telling him that because they also have problems with budget, they're going to cut his financial aid in half. Okay. So, which means that he needs to earn more money. And he's all very busy as it is. He's working 16 hours a week. And yeah, also his mother is ill and she can't work anymore. So at home, they're having financial problems as well. So yeah, it's all very messy. So what is he gonna do? If you were that person, what would you do and why? He has to study as well. He has no time. He needs to study and work and go to classes, pass exams and just be a student like you are. And at the same time, he needs to work, and there's no time for that. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's already working. He's working 16 hours a week. Okay, so you would work at night. Why? If it's hard during the day, you're willing to work at night. But what about your studies? What about your studies? Is it gonna? if you have time. Yeah. So you will stick with what about going to the university and finding other financial aid packages? Maybe they have something that you can apply to. And have you considered that? Yes, that's what I mean. Like financial aid, the university pays for your studies. Going to the university and asking what kind of packages they have. Maybe you can apply for another one, or maybe you can do some kind of work at university, helps a professor do something that will cover um, those costs. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one too, right? And so that's why it's important to think about, because it's like an easy solution, you know? I need to find work. So I need to work at night, but it is going to affect your studies. All right. Because the thing is that um, you need to be a good, when you're solving the problem, you need to be a good problem solver, meaning that you need to take all the alternatives into consideration. If you don't, if you just go with the first thing that comes to your mind, that's not going to make you an effective problem solver. Okay? You must be willing to accept the problem by acknowledging that the actual problem exists. Okay? Exactly, to solve it to the better, not to the worse. And you need to identify the problem. Okay? And you have to commit yourself to trying to solve it. Okay? So, uh, the solution that you gave me for the financial aid for the working student one didn't show a lot of commitment. Okay? Because the thing is that your life has so many components to it. Yeah? It's not as simple as just getting money. Okay? And financially supporting yourself, because there are other things as well. There's things like if you overwork yourself, your studies are going to suffer, your social life is going to suffer, right? So you need to at least try to make the best solution. Okay? Okay. So the trick here is that you need to find motivation and a commitment to prepare you to enter the problem solving process, right? Because if you don't have the motivation and commitment, you're not gonna be effective problem solver, right? So there are no simple answers here, but there are a number of strategies that can be useful when you're applying this. So make a list of benefits. Yeah. Um, make a list of benefits that you will get from successfully dealing with the problem, such as process. This kind of call it like activity will help you clarify why you want to tackle the problem, and it will motivate you to get started. Yeah. So for example, if we take this financial thing, yeah. Um, so if you are going to solve the problem of money in the most successful way, your aim is to solve the problem so that your social life will not suffer so much, your studies will not suffer so much, and you will still have enough to support yourself. Yeah. So that's kind of like your motivation. Yeah. It kind of encourages you to start thinking. And then you start thinking about um, what are my alternatives? Okay. So you have maybe many alternatives. And then you start thinking about boundaries of those alternatives or advantages and disadvantages of all those alternatives. Okay. Um, and I would, it's very advisable to talk maybe to people about this. It's not like you have to solve it in one day, but talk to people about this, maybe ask their opinion, if you can, obviously, and just basically like all the steps that we've talked about. Yeah. Also, create a worst case scenario, like all the time, try to create what can be the worst that can go wrong. Yeah. So, for example, just to give you a very clear